Kevin Holland's chin, though. Wow.
So many times he kicked with the up kick.
Dude, that was the best kickboxing match I've ever seen in the UFC. Did you watch it?
What?
Wonderboy Thompson versus Kevin Holland?
I saw a little bit of it. Just I have too much going on.
Yeah, no, I understand.
But
Wonderboy is more of a karate guy, though.
Yeah, it's karate versus kung fu because Holland was a kung fu guy. Are we on live video too?
yeah, hang on one sec.
No, I'm just curious because I don't want them to read Mort's lips. Wow, my
All right, let's go. Let's do this.
Uh,
Ready or not? Assalamu alaikum and welcome to the Mad Mamluks podcast. My name is Sim. Along with me are my co-host Sheikh Amir and Mort. Welcome to the show, everyone. We have a wonderful episode for you guys this evening. But before we get started, help us out on patreon.com/the Mad Mamluks. The Mad Mamluks relies completely on your donations, your contributions. We cannot exist without you. We literally survive by the skin of our teeth. So we need your support in any way possible. I know, we try not to harp on this on the show too much. I've always been reluctant to do what the other YouTubers and other organizations usually do, or they're very open with asking you guys for help. But that's my own fault that I haven't kind of stressed that we need your contributions in order to get better, to continue maintaining this program, because right now we're just really on a threat. So we need your help. We don't get help from YouTube. I was going to share with you guys the actual screenshot where YouTube, hang on, here we go. This is what we have here on our not this.
All for 1 cup of coffee a day. For the price of 1 cup of coffee a day, you can help the Mad Mamluks.
All right, here we go. You see this over here?
Mm-hmm.
This is the Mad Mamluks. This is our internal YouTube page. They've disabled our ability to make any content because of some kind of AdSense violation that they've concocted. I've messaged them in every type of platform possible to resolve it, appealed it. They won't do anything without any reason. They're saying that we basically are clicking our own videos repeatedly. Me, Amr, and
Was that the reasoning?
they're saying invalid click. So what they're saying is me, Amr, and Mort literally are sitting down here and clicking on our videos like a bunch of idiots and getting a 2,000 views or whatever.
Darn it, they figured it out.
So
I didn't know that's what it meant.
this is what we're dealing with. I wanted to show you guys proof because I didn't want to, create this like, oh, I'm a victim, we need your help. Like, this is legit. Like, we're not making this stuff up. This is
It's no doubt YouTube is a bunch of dickheads anyways. I mean, no doubt. They do that stuff all the time.
Word.
What?
Just because you came back from a trip, it doesn't mean you can just.
Oh,
Oh, I forgot.
it's the kind of common expression now, bro.
But has anyone ever told you they thought because you're kind of sarcastic usually and you have a different type of joking, did people actually think you were making that up?
no, I know,
Have you
but
came across people that thought you were making it up, kind of, or exaggerating it?
no one. Why
Okay.
would they think
No,
that?
but
I don't know.
No.
I thought someone emailed me, Sim, stop messing around.
No,
We know you're
I
joking.
think what Sim.
YouTube wouldn't do
I
that
think
to
what
you.
Amr is saying is that what Sim is saying is that he never formally made an appeal. It was all kind of casual, like, hey, if you guys want to support, then do this.
Oh.
But he's explained the reason why.
Oh,
he's
that. Okay,
asking
yes,
for it.
yes. Yeah.
Anyway, the value for the Mad Mamluks is something that I think many of our core listeners, people who have been around from the beginning, know, but anyone who's new to it should at least have a brief idea of what we do. I'd like to consider ourselves a middle of the road channel where we're not attached to any personality, movements, ideologies. We're very modular in our thinking, where we have our core belief system, and we take the best ideas we believe in objective analysis in looking at our belief system, not the belief system, but anything surrounding the belief system, the secondary and tertiary layers of ideas, of whether it's politics or worship and rituals, whatever can benefit us in attaining pleasure from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Well, that's what we want to help you achieve. We want to help ourselves achieve first, and help you and share those ideas with you. And if hopefully you see benefit in that. I don't know of any other channel that is as objective as us. I know there are many channels out there that are very successful and do a much better job in explaining different areas of the religion than us. I'm not disputing that, but they're aligned with certain ideas and ideologies and not sects. I hate the word sects, but ways of thinking.
Schools of thought
and stuff like that. So it's something that I take pride in, and we have some incredible assets here with you, with Sheikh Amir and Mort, who is able to talk about any kind of subject at the whim of a hat, at the drop of a hat, right? So
the other thing is, look, this is one thing that I think people may find to be true with the Mad Mamluks is this. Look, we're not people who are like, oh yeah, we're Mad Mamluks, and we're like, it's not like a type of pride or gang mentality for us. What it does for me,
it would have been cool if we were a biker gang.
Yeah, that'd be a good name for a biker
imagine
gang.
like on that vest, what is that called? The
Mad
vest?
Dog?
The cut, yeah.
TMM,
the biker cut.
TMMMC.
We had like
TMMMC.
just right on the back, and we had
What's
like
the C stand for?
hogs that we rode on.
Tim Crow.
No, but look, a lot of us, when people who are somewhat religious minded, we see the world through a certain lens, right?
Yeah.
And when we see the world through that lens of our aqidah and our belief system, we have a tendency of looking at things around us differently than other people do. Someone may be looking at something, we look at it differently because of our belief in Allah. What we try to help, or at least this is our effort, is that when something happens around us or in our world, we like to unravel it for ourselves and unravel it for other people.
Yeah.
To let them know what's actually happening, to see things for what they are. That's what the essence of a believer is. That the believer is one who commands and encourages the good and forbids and discourages from the evil, right? Amr bil ma'ruf wa nahy anil munkar, right?
Absolutely.
And that has to be done by all of us, but sometimes when we get together, just as guys or as Muslim people, we just like to discuss things around us, and we like to unravel it for ourselves, and we like to unravel it for other people.
Yeah.
Not like, hey, you have to listen to us because we're worth listening to. No, it's like, hey, man, we're doing this for ourselves, we're doing this for everybody else, and just join us and help us do this unraveling.
And why us? Because, and I want to explain just a little bit about some of the life experiences that we've been through. Sheikh Amir, myself, and more. We all grew up together, not necessarily always together. We had like different friends and circles and stuff, but we kind of came together a little bit after college and sometime a little bit during college and so on. But we had a lot of experiences with various Islamic movements, many different types of scholars. We studied under Sheikh Amir, obviously became a full-fledged card-carrying sheikh. Does Azhar give you a card? Like, I'm a sheikh
No,
card?
just a sheet of paper, diploma. Like
A
card.
Bro, you should have like an ijaza card with all your little ijazas on the back of the...
Yeah, like a business card and like all the
guys are thinking too
check
highly
boxes
of
in
me
the
now.
back. Like,
No, but I'm saying that
studied this.
institutions should have that. Like, if I want to verify what you studied, like, not necessarily I would ask you, but
Chip.
I would just say like, hey, show me what you got,
Show me
buddy.
your card.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'll put in this chip reader.
how about
and
you
I'll-
just tattoo them on your forehead?
Anyways, so yeah.
But anyway,
And-
one of the just fundamentally, a lot of we began in the Islamic movements, right? Namely Hizb ut-Tahrir and stuff. And one of the fundamental or the most important benefits I got from them when I was growing up is because I was so confused about everything. Like nothing made sense, and they taught me how to think. And people like joke about that, and some other movements try to laugh about it, but they never understood like what they were talking about, like how you evaluate and dissect things and try to understand the true nature of any reality, whether it's an object or a political event that's happening in the world, or just simple issues related to your deen. So that kind of that really cultured within us that kind of thinking where you're all constantly critically thinking, but also critically thinking is not even it's not an accurate word. I think it's much more than that. I think it's properly assessing and understanding, breaking down systems and ideas, and
that's why I said trying to find the reality of what it actually is.
Right.
I think what happens is that as you get older, things become much more nuanced, and a lot of times I've noticed that, depending whichever group it was, they became almost binary. It was either this or that, either with us or against us.
Yeah.
Right. And I think as you get older, sometimes, and even more exposure, you see sometimes that issues are not exactly just that black and white. And nuance is needed to properly understand. And the reason why I'm not saying it to be middle of the ground and watered down or whatever. No, it's simply because it's the reality. No. Right? When you have over 1,000 years of Islamic history and you look at periods that were probably more troubling than we are right now, you begin to realize the gravity of these situations and how people had to react, what certain things, what key issues took precedence, what were more important, what were unifying factors, what were dividing factors. All these things are important. And it's super important because there's a reason why I believe that, the Quran is teaching that history repeats itself. And I believe that's one of the reasons why you have so many stories about Bani Israel, because it's an ibrah. It's a lesson, right? Allah is telling you that history can repeat itself. If we're not supposed to learn from history, why did he mention the previous, the nations that came before us?
It's always going to repeat.
So there's a key examples of things that would set them aside. And even we were talking about this in the last episode, where we were talking about how when Sayyidina Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam was going to Medina before he entered there, how Allah talks about how the Jews were selectively taking from the Torah and selectively applying it. Like, when they were allied with the different tribes, the Khazraj, the ones that were allied, they would sometimes kill the other Jew in defense of their allegiance, and that was haram for them in the Torah. But then sometimes they would take them prisoners and they would loot their entire property, then release them back, right? And this is from the Torah for them, but they would selectively do that. And so you begin to realize that, hey, Allah is telling you here that this is a lesson. This is happening among Muslims. Sometimes we're very selective in how we apply this religion to our own brothers and our fairness in them. And we're selective sometimes. And this is one of the dangers. Sometimes people don't make that connection, but if you think about some of these stories in the Quran, there's a real mention. There's a real important significance behind the mentioning of these stories. Allah could have told you stories about many nations. Told you about the Chinese, about, whatever. All these nations had Anbiya, right? They all had it. The ancient Mayans, he could have told you about these things. But these are direct lessons that are needed to learn for the Ummah, not only at that time, but for the challenges that we're facing.
Yeah. So the challenges are all going to be the same, they're just going to be in a different shade.
Yeah.
So it's going to come with a different packaging, but they're all go back to the same thing. The
core of the issues, right?
They all go back to a few things.
You look at anything like Qawm Lut today. You look at Aad wa Thamud, right? Cheating on the scales, weighing in improper business tactics. All this stuff is relevant. The Jews and even about their changing the laws that Allah had revealed, right? Making halal some certain things, right? Things like this that are relevant to Muslims today. Things that we would have never thought about like 20 years ago, right? Oh my God, how could the Jews do that? How could they make something halal which is haram? How dare that? It's so arrogant. But yet we see it in broad daylight right now, right? And we also see the extremism of some people in the past, right? The overzealousness. Some people don't to acknowledge this, but even in the story of Sayyidina Musa and Khidr, right? He was so overzealous in his pursuit of justice that he began to criticize Al-Khidr, right? Like, I mean, even though it was a good place, it was from a good place, but he told him from the very get-go that you can't question me and you're not going to be able to handle this. But it wasn't like he was doing a bad thing. He was just, in the moment of time, in short-sightedness, he was right. Why do you kill the innocent ghulam? Why do you do this? Why do you do that? But sometimes Allah's teaching, maybe one of the lessons is that even in your pursuit of being just and being righteous, you can be overzealous.
Yeah, but not only that, you just don't know.
Yeah.
You're a Nabi, and Allah showing the purest of nature of Musa alayhi salam, right? But even the purest of nature doesn't have ilm al-ghayb. And ilm al-ghayb is given to to whoever Allah gives it to. But yeah, man. So I think.
Yeah, I mean, and it's just goes to show that we're not necessarily aligned with any kind of Islamic thinking, and we're not really pushing an agenda so that you go join one of our belief systems or schools of thought or whatever have you. Just an objective view of the world, different perspectives, different ideas. Hopefully something that you can gain benefit from that other channels aren't talking about. We don't do these reaction videos and short 5-minute videos about what other people are doing. We're trying to set our own objective. Of course, there's going to be things that happen in the Dawah world that we're going to comment on, and that's going to happen once in a while. But we try to keep things fresh, and we don't want to talk about LGBT every day, and we don't want to talk about masculinity every day, or it's just boring, and I don't understand how.
No, even though it's the hot topic, we end up talking about it a lot because it's so much, right?
Yeah.
But that's why I just like to tell people, man, it's just like a bunch of guys sitting around and talking. This is what we end up talking about.
Some of these topics, I really kind of agree with Sim. I'm glad we don't watch like a 15-minute video and do a reaction, right? Because I feel like everyone can. Most of our listeners already probably know what our reaction is going to be to certain things.
Yeah.
Right. And I don't want to come on here and just make a clown and make a fool of myself, right? And just say something funny because it's for entertainment value. I could do that, right? I could react to certain things and totally make fun and clown somebody. But is that providing any real value? Is that actually having a constructive conversation where someone's going to take some benefit?
And I think that speaks to at least, our honesty. I know, Mort, you have that ability where you could totally have taken that angle and made it a brand with Muzzy Buzz and just clown on people because you can talk. You got some people have the gift of gab, and they can just talk endlessly, and he could just make fun, clown on people all the time,
that
right?
Would be hilarious.
And that's
a great idea.
But but it's. He knows in the back of his mind he has something much more bigger to give,
Yeah.
And he's got, and especially with the audience that we have, we may not have like the astronomical figures that some of the major Dawah channels have, but I know we have a level of intelligent and rational thinkers all across, from very strict practicing Muslims to some even what people will say liberal type Muslims, but they're rational people. They're people who are actively seeking to come closer to God. So that's about it. But Sheikh, I want to get to another important topic. This one brother on Facebook, he unfriended me because I shared a video of my guitar playing, and
he unfriended you?
Yeah, he said. Oh, I got really upset by it. I told my wife.
Look at his face. He's frowning.
Wait, are you genuinely upset that somebody unfriended you?
I can't. Well, I've known him for so long. I still don't know.
Wait 1 second. I love Simi's my friend, but he can be very petty. He can be extremely petty because he doesn't want anyone to be unhappy with him.
I don't like it one
bit.
bit.
For me, I don't mind it.
I'm so nice to people. I'm expecting
that's
people
what
to be
I'm
nice
saying.
to me.
For me, I expect it. If everybody unfriended me, honestly, I'll tell you guys right now, I would go to sleep just fine. It doesn't bother me one bit. But Sim generally tries to go out of his way to be nice to everybody.
I'm a nice person. I don't like people being unhappy. But that being said, I'm very blunt too, and I'll be who I am. I won't change for people's unhappiness.
Okay, let me just tell you. I didn't see the post. I didn't even know. But
let me share it with you, Chef.
Okay, before you even share it with me.
Yeah, wait. Can we just see his guitar playing? You're not important, Sim. This is. I mean,
he asked me, so I'm replying.
No, you're not important.
He literally said, "So I said, okay."
Oh,
Well,
that's what you
here's
think
me
of
on my
this show?
Facebook profile. I'm playing the guitar. Good old, just trying to be happy. I'm
I
playing.
can get why he commented on it.
Bro, I'm playing a Spanish song because I'm just crapping on on Spain, you know. So I'm playing a Spanish.
That's the
Spanish
backdrop.
song.
I didn't know that's what the backdrop
Yeah,
was.
yeah.
Thank you for that context.
Here we go. Let's play it.
It's like sad.
It's a sad song for the Spanish people.
We lost the World Cup.
That is sad.
We were kicked out by Morocco.
So-
El Morisco.
There was his brother here, Mr. Abu Hamza, Sean Abu Hamza. Let's talk about him.
Thank you, Sean. I'm glad. I don't even know what the comment is. I can't wait
saw
to hear
add
it.
friend here, bro.
Huh?
Look, it says add friend, meaning he unfriended me.
Who cares? Why can't he unfriend
Look,
you?
bro, I don't understand what.
How do you know he was your friend before?
He was my friend
How do you know?
because he had liked my posts before.
Yeah, so maybe he's not really a friend.
Anyway.
He's just following what you do.
I just tried to be smart with him. I sent him a Brokeback Mountain gif. I said, I wish I knew how to quit you. That's what I said. That's what I
That's actually
said.
kind of funny.
That's what I said to him, Sheikh.
Yeah.
I was hopefully you come back, Sean.
It's so hard
Say goodbye.
to say goodbye to yesterday.
Look, bro. Yeah, man.
It's okay, I'm your friend, a-hole. All you need is
If you knew somebody that was your
all I
friend,
need is you
life
two
is
guys.
me and Amr.
if one of your friends was getting married or one of your relatives and you weren't invited to the wedding, would you be sad?
Oh, if one you guys were getting
Not
married?
us. Just like an extended friend.
Oh, if
So
family
I'm
friend, no. But if you guys were getting married and you didn't invite me,
Oh, I have a
like
question.
your second wife
Amr,
or third wife,
Were you when you guys upset that I didn't attend your weddings?
was I upset? No.
Yeah. Okay, good.
But we weren't as close, as tight as we were now. I mean,
No, it's not even that. If somebody doesn't come to my wedding, I wouldn't feel bad. I wouldn't
Good.
feel sad.
Because
I'm
I
not
have a
one-
habit of not attending weddings.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, dude, you know what? I was telling that to my family too. The older I get, the less I like going to dawats, bro. I can't stand going to weddings, bro.
Listen,
I don't know why.
You know why I don't like weddings? Let's go on a little rant here for a second. Okay?
Punish
I don't
like
like weddings because, first of all, you don't really care about the people getting married.
Why not?
No, you really don't. Because, listen, you're going there for the food. And most likely, most of the women that you're going there because your families are going there, your wives are taking you, and they need a reason to dress up and go and show off their clothes to their other friends, and you're just sitting there meeting dudes that you'll never talk to again after this wedding, and you're sitting there hangry because you're hungry and angry, you're waiting for this food to come out, right? And then after the wedding, you never see them again. And it's like, what's the point? So you want me to waste 5 hours of my time to wait for a mediocre meal that's like watered down biryani and like some, a mediocre dessert.
bro, what happened to all these like Indian Pakistani caterers? They make like trash food now. Like
All
everyone,
trash. You know what it is?
it's like frozen food that they just heat on the
You know what I
heat
think
up
they
on the
do?
day of the wedding.
No,
You think that's what happens?
No,
Yeah,
it's
that's
not
what they're
even
doing.
that. You know what I think they do is they make like one main bagona, like a pot of like biryani, and I think they take that and they dump it into this huge pile of rice. And nothing else is flavored. It's just this white rice mixed with like one pot.
No, I mean,
bro, it's horrible.
It's like you're spending so much money on every plate of food. It's like $50 a plate or something. I can't remember what it is for
Nowadays, yeah, I think price is going
It's
up.
around
Yeah.
$50, you know. And then when you get there, the food, you can tell anyone who knows fresh food knows the chicken is not fresh. They know the biryani has been reheated, or it was probably part of some restaurant that didn't sell their food. Usually they make all their fresh food on a Friday. You know, typically in the Chicagoland area, a lot of the restaurants they cook on Friday, and then anything that doesn't sell over the weekend,
cater it out.
They get rid of it during the week.
Really? I
Yeah.
didn't know that.
Or it could be
They
they
freeze
cooked it like on a Thursday,
Yeah,
and then they just in preparation for the wedding, and they reheated it on like a Saturday.
yeah.
Right? Which is dumb because really you're supposed to be, if I'm paying you money, a-hole, you better cook starting that Saturday morning. Right?
Yeah.
Get up early after Fajr and start cooking my goddamn biryani. Right? I'm not asking for reheated food. Otherwise, I can go anywhere and get reheated food. Why do I need you? You know what I mean? Like, it's just anyways.
Yeah.
The point being is
People probably don't know what the other options
so
are.
I don't know how other people feel about weddings. I mean, maybe if it's a close friend and people a lot of people are going to be there, it makes sense, right? Family. But in generally speaking, like people who you don't really know, like I think there should be a policy. If you haven't met the person at least twice in the year, they shouldn't be invited to your wedding. Because they have no business being there.
Yeah.
Right? And then the worst part is, those are the guys, since they don't really know you, they're going to give you the cheapest gift. So you don't even get your money back on the plate. Like they're giving you $20. Horrible. Absolutely horrible. Waste of time. So maybe we should just go back to the days where weddings are held at a forest preserve and
Or at a masjid, bro.
it's a potluck.
I'm glad you actually talked about this, man. Marriage is... Oh, go ahead. I'll let you finish. I'm sorry. Or potluck or a forest preserve. What else?
Yeah, and your gift to the groom and the bride is bring your own plate of food. Bring it this.
They want to spoil their guests too. They want to give to their guests, you know. But look, since we're talking about this, if you don't mind, I think there's two things that have to be revived, bro. As far as weddings are concerned,
Simple weddings.
number one, simple weddings, and bro, invite the fuqara, invite the poor people to your weddings and your walimas, bro.
Bro, but what if
We
they
don't
run away
practice
with
it.
the food? Like
It doesn't matter,
they
bro.
put
They're
away
your
food
guests.
in the
It doesn't
purse.
matter. Even dude, that's a horrible thing to say. I'm like gonna go. I'm like, dude, that's pretty messed.
What if they steal the gifts?
Dude,
No,
dude, check
no,
this.
no,
Even
I'm
if they
kidding,
steal
I'm
the gifts, bro, they need it more than you, bro.
I'm kidding.
They need it. But what I'm saying is, look,
I agree.
simple. Have your nikah in the masjid. Give out food. Keep it simple, bro. The best of wedding, Rasulullah said, the best of nikah is the most simple.
But how many?
But people don't.
I'll tell you something. I think a lot of men would be on board with this.
I think, of course, they would.
But how many women would be on
No,
board?
they wouldn't. Of course not. And I understand why. And I don't think it's 100% their fault. They've been given
But
a
what I'm
certain
saying is,
scenario.
why don't you do the big gathering at the at the masjid, and then have a very small affair? If you want to dress up as a woman, like a bride, just
You
for
want to talk about
family.
affairs during a wedding?
No,
bro.
totally. He's talking about linguistically, bro.
Why not? They go hand in hand,
Lexically,
right?
bro.
Marriage and affairs, right?
Marriage is an affair. So it's one of the affairs of the believer.
Either Messiah or a real one, you know.
But the other thing is, bro, is like I was just thinking about that. I was like,
Yeah,
the
go
walima.
ahead.
I was like, how much masti do we have? We don't invite that. That was from like a practice of the Prophet and from the Sahaba of inviting the poor people, bro. Like,
Yeah.
do
But
we think we're too
typically-
good? Do you think we're too good to invite poor people? bro?
No.
But I mean, how do you invite poor people? Come on. I mean, let's be
Find
real.
them. Be like, hey, come over. You find refugee families. You don't know them. Hey, come over to our wedding. Hey,
Bro, I mean, like, we're in the suburbs, bro.
No, you can find them. No, you can find them easy.
Okay, let me ask you
Just
this.
go to the masjid.
Let me
they
ask you
know.
this.
We had
Your
one thing with
reward.
us.
Forget about everything else. Let me give you a real scenario, which
Yeah.
is Allah is giving it to us.
Okay.
There's dudes that stand on Main Street and Roosevelt Road. Just listen to what I'm saying, bro.
I give him money all the time.
Listen to, no,
I give them money, bro. I don't know if I'm going to
Listen,
invite them to my
but-
house.
okay,
actually-
let me finish what I'm saying.
Could
bro.
be kitty fillers, man.
Let me finish what I'm saying,
Well, keep the kid away.
bro. Just listen to what I'm saying, bro.
No, go ahead.
Don't
Sorry.
worry, don't
Yeah,
worry.
go ahead.
So,
The floor is yours.
what if? Because IFS is right there, right? Let's say you're having your wedding at IFS, right? Or your walima, right? There's a on Ardmore and Roosevelt Road. There's always a homeless dude standing there. On Summit and Roosevelt, there's always a homeless dude. Main Street and Roosevelt, right? What if you just invite them? Hey, we're having a wedding. Come over. I want to feed you. I'm just saying. Now, do you think everything you did that day? Do you think inviting that poor person, whether he's Muslim or not, you don't care, you invite him. Do you think that is the most valuable thing you can do as a believer for during your wedding?
100%.
That is the most valuable. That surpasses the cosmos in what Allah loves, bro.
Bro, that's what.
It is a sacrifice, bro. For a lot of people,
No,
it's a
no.
sacrifice.
For me, it's not that. It's a safety issue, okay? I am
come
scared
on.
about inviting someone.
He's surrounded by a whole bunch of dudes, bro. What is he
Bro,
going to do?
What if. Huh?
What is he or she going to do? They're surrounded by a whole bunch of people.
Bro, some of these people, I'm not saying every one of them. And I actually think that, it's a very beautiful idea to.
Yeah, I think you're going a little too over with that.
I'm not. I don't think so.
No. With him, like worrying about the. Listen. By the way, speaking of this real issue, I've been really thinking about this.
Because you
I
have
think
to protect your family, too. At the end of
pretty-
you have to
yeah.
be responsible.
I'm fine with that. Listen.
If it's a dude, he's on the dude side.
Yeah.
You should have one side for men, one side for women. If it's a dude, bring him the dude side. Keep him where, if you think that there's a safety, because you don't know him, that's true. But he's
listen.
surrounded by a whole bunch of dudes. There's security there. What's he gonna do, bro?
I
One
kind of
dude.
wanted to talk to you guys about this too, but I didn't. This just became the time. But I was thinking about this too when I was on the way to New York, and I want to do this thing. All right. You know how we go around and we find Muslims that are kind of like in a rough time, like a dude, right? Whatever. and I want to like go and like give him a day, meaning like we'll go get him a nice fresh cut, buy him some new fits, and just give him a pocket money for the day, and just pick like random people who are suffering we know. Like
That's beautiful.
Or take one Syrian family or Iraqi family, just take the whole family out.
That's a beautiful idea.
We should do that. Honestly,
That's a beautiful idea.
I don't want to record it and that stuff. I'm saying we should really.
We don't need to.
I think what's it gonna cost us? A couple $100?
Maybe, and who cares if it does? Right?
Yeah, I'm just saying it's nothing.
Yeah.
Right? It's. I mean, alhamdulillah, it's not a big deal. But man, that dua
Of course.
and that happiness that
That's
person feels in their
That's
heart.
what I'm saying.
I'm telling. We should really do that. I've been really.
No,
I've been really thinking about.
I'm glad you
this.
brought it up, but I feel bad we never thought about, or I never thought about this
So
before.
we got your van now,
Yes, we do.
so we can just ride around like we did in the old days
Yeah, bro.
with the sliding door open, like the microbus in Egypt,
Yeah, bro.
and just do it. I'm serious,
No, I like your idea, bro. It's a dope idea.
and I think
And everybody else, we're not just for us. Hopefully, we're giving you
I
guys some
think
ideas.
no. And actually, what I try to do even on Eid, that's why I usually tweet out on my Twitter. If people follow me, every Eid I tweet out. If you're alone in Eid,
I remember that. Yeah,
let me know. I do every Eid. I
that's
tweet it
beautiful.
out
No, that's beautiful.
because there's people out there who just they have everything they need, but they're alone.
Oh, bro, I know exactly what that feels like, bro.
They're just alone, bro. And you know, I started doing that when I was in Hungary and I was doing
Exactly.
Eid there.
When you're alone, you're traveling, even if you're in a Muslim country, bro.
Yeah, and
Everyone goes back home,
and-
but Hungary must have been worse, bro.
yeah, it's not about the food. You have the food. You have everything comfort, but the fact that there's no suhbah, right? You feel like, man, you're missing something.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter, and especially and this is kind of tied because I was thinking about like doing something because you know what kind of inspired me. There's like some Turkish brothers on like, YouTube, and they'll pick like a random like homeless person off the street, really shaggy looking, like big beard and everything, and they'll take him, they'll do a nice fresh shampoo, cut him up, make him look real professional, put him on in a new suit jacket, new
I remember
shoes,
seeing
new
that.
pants. Right, take him out to eat, have a nice day with him, and be on his way. And these people, the way they smile, and you know what's crazy is that sometimes people are down and out, and when you show them what they were before, it motivates them because sometimes in that moment they feel like they can't imagine how they were before.
Yeah.
There's no going back to that.
Yeah.
Right, so giving them the opportunity to see what they look like and what they were gives them motivation to say, hey, I can do something.
Yeah. No, it's really easy to get into that. Because sometimes when you do things that are mundane, you probably notice this from working at home. When you're working at home and when you're working on site somewhere, it's very different. And you let certain things go, right? You're like, yeah, you know what? I don't need to take a shower this early in the morning. Forget it. You start letting those things go. You know what I'm saying? No, I'm being serious, bro.
You
It's
don't
human
shower
nature.
every day?
No, I shower.
Oh, okay.
I shower every day, but I went through it because I wasn't very active sometimes, and sometimes like I was used to taking a shower every single morning, right? But sometimes like I'll delay it, or I was like, you know what? Yeah, I didn't take a shower today, but I'm fine. And then you start realizing that it's really easy to get out of the routine.
Yeah.
And so imagine for somebody who's just living homelessly on the streets, they're like, I'll just let it go. I'm out here anyway. Who cares? People don't look at me with respect anyway. And it just becomes your life now, right?
Yeah.
And but like you said, once you get that cut and you get a little freshened up and everything, you're like, wow, this is what I was. This is who I am. This is who I should be, right? And it maintains. And
Inshallah, we'll do. But I
That's a
encourage
great
anyone
idea.
else in your
That's a
area
brilliant
to
idea,
do it.
just giving them some of that respect back that can probably, it could push them to want to, maintain a job or whatever, so that they can get themselves out of that situation. That's one of the things I always like I understand, giving money to poor, but I'm always a big believer in teaching a man how to fish, instead of giving them the fish.
Yeah, no, I know what you mean. I know what you mean.
Ultimately, the way to solve like poverty in any individual is that they learn skills that can help them achieve what, so that they're out of that situation.
Yeah.
I love that, man. Do you guys remember? I think both of you guys remember that sequel class I was doing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I remember.
There were a few.
I got a funny story about that.
So listen, there were a few people that didn't have the money to pay.
Yeah.
Right.
It's an IT class for those who don't know.
Yeah.
So I let them just do it, and wallahi, I bumped into one of these kids, and today he's working 2 IT jobs
MashaAllah.
as a database, and I didn't even know. But he saw me. He's like, I just want to thank you.
Wow.
Like,
Imagine how many du'as you get, inshallah.
Yeah, I know, but like, that makes me
He
happy.
just deflected. He didn't want to get emotional. I saw him tearing up, but he blocked it. Go ahead, bro.
Yeah.
He blocked it.
He's very good at
He's very good at blocking it. Go ahead, anyways. Go
talking
ahead.
about?
You're about to cry. It's okay though.
No, I'm saying it makes me
Choked up.
No, I'm not getting choked up. But it makes me feel
No, I
very
know.
happy
No, it's an amazing thing, bro.
that someone I didn't even know, like, was able to, I had no idea this kid's walking around and he's supporting his entire family. He's driving nice cars now, and alhamdulillah, bifadlillah, he was able to do that.
Yeah.
And
no, one of the
It just took maybe what was that? Maybe like, maybe it was like 5 weekends out of my 6 weekends.
Yeah.
Out of my whole life, which is really not a couple hours in the weekend with Qadir, and that was it. And this person, like, it changed his life.
Yeah, man. I firmly believe in this, that helping people helps you in the best of forms. The greatest feeling is if you're ever feeling down, bro, just help somebody. It changes everything instantly, bro. Now, I'm not talking about like people who have medical conditions. I'm not a physician by any means or whatever. But one of the ways to happiness, like true happiness, is helping other people, bro. But by the way, so do you remember when in Bolingbroke, when Mort lived in Bolingbroke, he was trying to teach us the SQL stuff?
Yeah.
So Mort, he's one of those people, mashallah, he's one of those guys that read something or learn something once he doesn't forget it, right? So he was showing me these queries because we all bought our laptops. You and me bought a laptop. He's like telling us, and he's like, "Yeah, guys, that's what it is, dude. It's so easy." I was like, "Yeah." And I look at you. I was like, "You got this?" He's like, "No, mashallah, you ended up learning it though." And I was like, and he's like, "Yeah, dude, it's just so easy. All you got to do is write this, write this, write that." It was like this long query. I was like, "Man, this dude, bro." I was like, "What the heck is he talking about?" And I was like, and then after that, I was like, "Oh, dude, I don't want to look dumb." So he's like, "Did you get it?" I was like, "Yeah, I got it, bro. I got it." I had no idea what the heck I was talking about, and I never went back to that class.
No, I mean, it's some for someone that found this. By the way, the point being is that it's always good to help people. I think of the hadith, right? The one who does not thank the people does not thank Allah.
Yeah.
All right? Man la yashkuru nasa,
Yeah.
la yashkuru Allah.
Yeah.
All right? And so, like, it's important, right? Like, so to be thankful to people. And the thing is, like, and I tell you, I honestly, I firmly believe this. And wallahi, I believe this. Because, look, Sim and Amr know my whole life story. And I no need to go into details. But I wouldn't be where I was today if it wasn't for, I mean, alhamdulillah, obviously I would share Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But I'm saying, aside from that, the dua of my mother
Yeah. Yes, sir.
and sadaqah.
Yes, sir.
These two things are irreplaceable.
Yes, sir.
If you want success, it's irreplaceable. If you want keeping your parents happy
Yes, sir.
and satisfied, the Quran uses the word uf.
Yeah.
And it's funny because uf is not actually a word.
It's
Right?
an expression.
It's an expression.
It's a light expression.
It's an idiom for saying don't even show
yeah.
that you have a dissatisfaction or annoyance.
Yeah.
And there's a reason that, because I thought about this, why is that so connected to your success in life and in dunya and akhirah? Because if you're ungrateful to your parents, that mercy that your mother showed you, that mercy comes from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
Of course.
That benefit your parents gave you, it came from the most beneficent. So if you're ungrateful to them, and you see it real time what they do for you, how can you be ungrateful? How would you be grateful to an unseen Lord?
Allah.
If you can't see that blessing in front of you, right? You think you're gonna see Allah's blessing for you? And you'll find, I guarantee you, most people who are bad to their parents, they're usually very bad people in general. Very, very careless in their religion too.
Yeah.
I'm not saying all, but usually people who are disrespectful and unappreciative of their parents, you'll generally find that they also are the same way with religion. Think about, how can you be grateful?
You're right. That's why Allah talks about shirk, and along with shirk, He talks about
Every time, yes.
وَبِالْوَالِدَيْنِ
Exactly.
إِحْسَانًا. You're right.
And you know what it kind of reminds me of? When Allah saved Bani Israel in front of them by making them split the sea, and they were so ungrateful among them, some of them, assimilation, where they make the golden calf. That ungratefulness, meaning if they couldn't be grateful, they had just witnessed the miracle of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, saving them from Fir'aun.
Yeah.
And that ungratefulness made them go right back to shirk right away. And the ones that were grateful, they resisted it.
Yep. No,
So-
that's what comes back to gratefulness and gratitude. If you don't have gratitude, you'll do things, and that's what Allah was also showing us. I'm glad you brought that example. That it's impossible for anyone to see a sea being parted and being saved, and the enemy being closed in. It's too good. The miracle was done for you. But if you don't have gratitude, then even the most clear of things have already covered. Your heart's covered, bro. It's over. Allah protect us from that, man, because it's easy to fall into that trap, man.
Speaking of Bani Israel,
Yes. Speaking of, nice segue. I like it.
Jordan Peterson, Alama.
Allama Jordan Peterson. Urdan.
That's what some people claim that we think of him as. At least we don't. But yeah, he went on. At least he got invited by Bibi Netanyahu, Benjamin Netanyahu.
No, I think he interviewed him for the Daily Wire.
Right.
Yeah.
And Netanyahu, well, all he did was,
Obfuscate. Yeah.
yeah, just talk about the same talking points about how the Arabs didn't.
Peace.
No, first he starts off with like how the most funniest thing. Okay, he talks about how the other civilizations, the other empires before that preceded the Arabs, they didn't do much damage to the Jews. They didn't contribute to it was very minimal what they did. The true enemy was the Arabs, who came and pushed who took over all the Jewish lands as they expanded the Islamic civilization. Just straight out lies.
So wait, let me get this right. So we should downplay the Holocaust now? Because obviously the Arab invasion was much more severe than the 6 million Jews dying in the Holocaust?
I think he's talking specifically to Israel. So he's talking about the diaspora.
So this is what I would tell Mr.
the
Bibi,
Jews,
right? Hey Bibi, your own religious texts tell you that God it actually uses the word Israel shall spit you out when you disobey the commandments of God. And this is really what happened to them. Allah removed them from the Holy Land. Allah gave them a conditional promise, right? And this is no doubt.
Wait, in their books?
Yes.
Yes, in Torah.
It's in the Torah all over in Genesis, where it says these covenants are conditional on the fact you obey the law. If you disobey the law, Jerusalem shall spit you out, right? And this is what happened to them. The Exodus, the whole idea of the Exodus, the whole idea of Babylonia, like being exiled to Babylonia, the destruction of the Second Temple. That's why they had to rewrite Ezra, Uzair, who they believe actually rewrote the Torah for them because it was lost in the exile. So the point being is that it was not the Arabs that came to Jerusalem and kicked you out. You guys had been kicked out long before, according to your own history, and according to the books, they were spread out to all corners of the earth, meaning away from the Holy Land because they weren't deserving of it.
And that's the Hasidic Jews believe too, right? That's why the Hasidic Jews believe
I'm saying this is the
they're not
Torah.
allowed to have, based on the Torah. That's why they're very marginalized, even amongst the Jews.
27-year-old
right?
transgender woman.
That's all right. So even the Hasidic Jews believe that they're not allowed to have a state. They're not supposed to have a state.
Yeah, so the Hasidim, they believe that that when the only time a state or a temple will forget state, they don't call it state.
Yeah.
They say that the only time
They're not supposed to be in power.
the only time that the kingdom will come back is when the Mashiach or Messiah comes back, and they believe that this temple will be like this. It will actually descend from the heavens, and people will be, and at that time the Jews will be so perfect in nature that Allah will allow this to happen, and the people will voluntarily say, we want you to lead us. We want to be subservient to you because you're such righteous people, right? So this is what the Hasidic believe, right? Now, obviously, the other ones, the Reformed and they believe that, no, we're going to take it by force.
How do they pronounce it in Hebrew? Hasidic?
Hasidim.
Hasid.
Yeah.
Hasidic Burda?
Yeah. The Hasidic is Chabad.
This guy. He just only listens to conversations just to troll, bro. That's why his name Mad Mamluk's after you, bro.
Bro,
You're mad, bro. In a comedic way.
I like the Hasidic Burda, by the way.
Good. Very good.
Can you sing it?
No, I'm not at that level yet. Go ahead.
No, you should know the words. You're a Sufi here.
I'm a Ghazalian Sufi.
Do you really know the words?
Throw around terms. He throws around
Qatani.
English.
Are you a Qatari Sufi, you said?
It's so cute, bro. But so I didn't get a chance to watch the Jordan Peterson Benjamin Netanyahu.
No, well, it was funny because Jordan Peterson, he has a message for Muslims.
Again.
He has a message for Christians.
Yes.
And then he has a video, I love the Jews.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Not
I think Ben
like
Shapiro has
no
him in his
message.
pocket, bro.
And-
Ben Shapiro has him in his pocket.
The funny part was in the line of questioning sin.
Yeah.
So let me get this right. So when you guys created the state of Israel, there was no hostility and no pushback against the Arabs, and it was inclusive, right? Like kind of feeding into these buzz lines, like I mean these key talking points, right? But when it came to the Jews and Muslims, let me tell you what you should believe. But in this case, it was, no, Netanyahu, tell me what I should believe. Netanyahu, you know what I mean? Like, it was all over the place. Like, you know, he was on all fours.
Wow.
Pretty much.
Yeah, well, anyway, he's exposing himself. At least this whole partnership that he's made with the Daily Wire has been a way to kind of control him and control his influence. He thinks the whole Jordan Peterson problem is a problem that you're seeing emanate in people like Elon Musk, people who buy their own BS. The BS that people say about you, oh, he's so brilliant, he's so amazing, and so dangerous, such a dangerous position to be at, when he is, in fact, him, Elon Musk, and they were brilliant in some of their ideas that they had.
Some of their ideas.
And they did a lot of hard work,
Yeah.
you know, to bring forth the success and the vision and the actual realization of those ideas. But what happens is the same problem that we're even seeing with Kanye. We're seeing a man who bought all the BS that people say about him, about his genius, no doubt, musical genius. But what happened with Kanye is that he thought that, oh, if I'm a genius in this, I'm a genius in all these other things. And same problem with Elon. No, like, oh, well, I'm a genius in making electric cars. No doubt you are. But he's got all these different blind sites about managing a company. So he gives out all these blue check marks to every organization that wants, every entity that wants to have a blue check mark, and thereby creating a problem where all these fake companies were popping up all over Twitter with a blue check mark, impersonating legitimate entities, and just trolling on investors and stuff like that, and causing companies to lose a lot of market value, right? More market share.
That was pretty crazy.
And so this is a problem that is a problem in any kind of person who's blessed with this brilliance, vision, hard work, intelligence, all these other factors that make up the overall success of brilliant individuals.
So wait, are you saying that Jordan Peterson's idea of becoming pen pals with Israelis wasn't genius?
It wasn't. This is what I'm saying. I mean, what are you saying?
Genius idea? Well, you could get over with just a letter. A love letter. It would be all. Everything would be fine. You could sing "Kumbaya" after that.
Yeah.
Oh, you missed the point. This guy,
But
pseudo intellectual.
But what's his name? Who else is a part of the Daily Wire? That Matt Walsh dude.
Matt Walsh is
Ben Shapiro.
No, of course. That's what I said. I
Yeah,
said
yeah.
Ben Shapiro has him in his pocket now, because he probably made that link between Netanyahu and getting him on.
What they were able to do, they saw that. To be honest, though, they saw that Jordan Peterson was this figure
Yes.
that was gaining momentum in the conservatives.
Yep.
And he could have gone either way, meaning that you could have made him very pro-Palestine very early on. And I think they recognize the importance of getting him to be on their side. And they do what most corporations and governments do. They threw a bunch of money at him, and they said, just join the team.
just like they did with Joe Rogan. They threw, what, 300 million?
Yeah, the largest
Spotify.
podcast deal ever, or whatever.
And then they deleted all of his content that they didn't agree with. And he's like, oh, I don't delete my stuff, and I don't do this, and my free speech won't be contained. What did you do, buddy? As soon as that money came, you started deleting your content.
Did he really end up deleting?
Yeah, he deleted all these.
many videos, controversial videos. I think Alex Jones stuff he deleted, some stuff with them.
Not the Alex Jones stuff.
They're not there in full episodes anymore. That's right. I only saw clips. I was trying to look
Who
for
was
him.
that one guy, man? Who was that troll? He was like gay, kind of, and then
Milo.
Milo. Yeah. They deleted that episode.
Yeah.
There were other. Who's that guy who's associated with the Proud Boys founder? He was one of the founders of Vice.
Yeah.
Gavin
McGinnis.
Yeah. So they deleted that episode and a bunch of others. And here's like this advocate of free speech who says like, oh, I don't believe anyone should stop our ability to speak. Well, what you did right now was deleted your episodes, and they bought it. They bought your freedom of freedom of speech, and you sold out just like everyone else.
So going back to Jordan Peterson, what the Zionists did was very smart.
Yeah.
They saw an opportunity for someone who had great content, a captivating an ability to captivate audiences, but didn't have the resources needed to crank out production because he had to, he was busy going on tour, making money, right? And so they were able to take a bunch of money and just focus on your content. And naturally, even if they didn't implicitly imply that, oh, you have to be on a side, naturally, you're not going to talk about your employer in a bad way.
Yeah, but don't you think that only the evangelical Christians will kind of agree with him? Do you think, I don't think nowadays, do you think how many people do you think are, basically, can't this have a potential of backfiring big time on Jordan Peterson's popularity?
Well, it is. Like, many of his own followers are very upset by him aligning with, or even giving a platform to Netanyahu. And he's going to say is that, oh, I spoke to Palestinian people as well. You didn't speak to the Palestinian people equivalent of the Jewish or the Zionist people, right? Like Ben Shapiro. You spoke to Ben Shapiro, but you didn't speak to Hamas. Like if you're speaking to if you're speaking to Netanyahu, the equivalent of the Palestinian side is a leader from Hamas or the PLO or something. A leader,
like Mahmoud Abbas or someone,
something like that. Yeah. And the problem is like he's kind of. And this is why he's never going to, I fully believe he's never going to accept Islam, no matter how many overtures Muslim made to him, because he's in love with his idea. Like he genuinely believes that he is going to contribute to some larger discourse in the world. And
savior complex.
And try to, he's believed in himself to the extent that he thinks that he can bring, a necessary coalition of people together to fight the leftists, the crazy left, which is admirable. That's why the discussion that they were having with hijab, him and that minister came on hijab's show. They wanted to talk about building common ground, and they're not interested in any kind of dawah, not dialogue. Or genuinely interested in learning about Islam. They want to know how hijab and many other Muslim leaders around the Muslim world can work with the Christians to bring down or form some kind of resistance to the
coalition against the left.
Against the left. That's what many people are calling for. Jake Shields has been calling for that as well on Twitter.
By the way, he responded to your tweet.
Oh yeah, he did. That
was dope.
Yeah.
That was pretty dope.
He did.
Yeah.
He's going to actually be on Dilly's podcast in a week.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah, we've also established some communication with him as well, so
dope.
we'll see where it goes.
And that's a good way to kind of also segue into something too.
But for those who don't know, Jake Shields, he's an MMA fighter.
Yeah. But I'm saying in general, like they don't want to, like Jordan Peterson is someone who's not concerned about actually hearing the truth. He wants to listen so he can find the right time to share what he believes his wisdom is and his advice. He's listening to find the opportunity to provide the saving moment for the saving grace for these people. He sees himself as someone who's educated and beyond the conflict and looking at it from a bird's eye view. He's not really interested in hearing genuinely what Muslims are arguing for.
Yeah.
Right? Meaning if we're not arguing from his paradigm, it's incorrect. And if we want to get it right, we have to argue from his paradigm. Right? And that's the problem he's going to have. And that kind of leads me to something we want to talk about, which is with the Taliban. Right? They Tim, why don't you go ahead and tell us what the Taliban did recently?
So the Taliban have in effect brought back public executions. And there is I didn't know we were gonna switch over to this topic real quick. Let me get to it.
So it's been the first time since.
All right, here we go.
When they were in last power, so they just restarted again.
Murder publicly executed by his victim's father, Taliban say. So a man a man convicted of murder was shot by his victim's father in the Taliban's first public execution since their return to power in Afghanistan. A Taliban spokesman said that the man was killed at a crowded sports stadium in southwestern Farah province. Why is it that we use sports stadiums for this stuff?
Because you can accommodate the public.
Why do you need the whole public? Why can't you just quickly do it?
So here's the thing. Islamically, the hudud should be witnessed by the public.
Okay.
Because so they can see this as...
Doesn't mean everyone has to come, but
No,
it's
everyone has to
open
come.
so people understand the ramifications.
Yeah, I mean, the whole idea is that if someone is losing their life in public, that's something you don't forget. The likelihood of you doing a crime that person did is you're probably going to think twice and thrice about it after witnessing that. If it happens in private, you don't see. It's kind of like, how do I put it? Like, if you hunt for your own food, you eat less of the meat.
Yeah.
Rather than going to the supermarket and just think pound of meat.
Yeah.
Right? Because you have a greater appreciation for the hunt.
Yeah.
Right? And the actual animal taking the life. Same thing with this, right? The impact of seeing something in person in front of you and the loss of life or the punishment is severe. Those things you don't forget.
Dude, even the lashes. Look, the lashes are not meant for pain, whether it's for drinking or fornication. It's not meant actually for pain. It's meant for shame. So when people see somebody being lashed for drinking or for fornication, obviously if there are 4 witnesses and the judge agrees that it's legitimate, whatever, do that whole process. But the end result, right? There's a whole process obviously that goes into this, right? But the end result, which is the lashing, it's embarrassing. And you feel like right now we talk about things that are cringe and cringe meter going out of control. Imagine how embarrassing it would be of you watching somebody being embarrassed. Like, dude, because sometimes pain is not just the biggest deterrent. It's shame. Yeah. Is the biggest deterrent.
Like, how many times have people said, I'd rather be punched in the face than go through that? You know what I mean? Like, people say that all the time, right? But I think, so speaking about this, the reason why I said we want to bring the Taliban into this is because, again, with people like Jordan Peterson, their framework is going to say, well, this is something draconian. It's barbaric. It's, from the old time. And the reality is that, look, if the Taliban feels that this is the appropriate Islamic punishment to do for someone, and this is what they decide as a government.
But did Peterson say that's barbaric?
No. I'm saying, but the mentality that he comes from, that if you don't handle these problems the way I do, from my paradigm, is incorrect. Yeah. Meaning that he has a savior complex. Like, I get why you Muslims are angry at the degenerative society and these things, but let me tell you how to solve it. You can be angry, but don't bring your own solutions. Yeah. Right? That's kind of like even the issue of Palestine. I understand why you're upset, but let me tell you how to get over it. Write love letters, right? Like stuff like this. It's a savior complex. And in a similar way, he may come out and say, well, this is simply barbaric. I mean, this is draconian. We cannot deal with this in the modern day. I'm not saying these are the exact words, but something to that effect would be there. And what they're not realizing is that I think the paradigm is shifting. Yeah. The reality is that people begin to realize that maybe everything that you're coming out with in the Western world isn't exactly working out the way that you say it is working out.
Yeah, and it's not what you thought it was.
And also, you have plenty of problems internally, and I guarantee you that when people see this live in the stadium, you're going to find people a lot less likely to commit these crimes.
Yeah, let's not even talk about an Islamic level, because I think even on an Islamic level, if you want to call this something purely Islam, I think there's many reasons why this is not. It's closer to the direction of a entity that's sovereign that wants to take care of its own issues. Yes. Let's not even refer to it as an Islamic thing for right now, because I think there's many holes in the way everything's going.
I agree, but I'm saying, let's just say, for the argument's sake.
No, I know what you mean.
Muslim country, and this is how they believe it's Islamic punishment, right? Even if they're incorrect in their ijtihad in this part, it's still closer to what the truth should be rather than what they're offering.
Yeah, but again...
Right? And so I think you're right, in the sense that if the Western agenda is not working in the West itself, and these same people who are claiming to offer solutions are criticizing the very governments they're living under and the liberal agenda they're living under by saying the liberals want to free murderers, the liberals want to make baby killers, and now they're complaining about the way that we deal with the problem. I don't think it's fair, because a sovereign country knows best how to deal with this population. Yeah. You may not agree with it, but guess what? Your method hasn't really solved anything either. Yeah. So why are you in any position to judge By what standard? Because you're a psychologist and you're a social. I mean, you're an anthropologist. Like, you study the law. What makes you the authority on this issue? Because clearly, as a society as a whole, Western society is facing imminent doom right now. This is not just me doom and glooming. Major experts are talking about the decline of Western society, for everything from
birth rates.
Yeah, birth rates to moral structure to economic structure,
Environment.
Prison.
Yeah, I mean, so many different things, like families. So many different elements of society are collectively collapsing and declining, that they feel that an imminent doom is coming to the Western way of life. They don't know how much longer. That's why people, we're becoming more and more populist. Yeah. Right? Whoever basically is saying the most popular ideas is going to win. Is going to be in power.
Whether it's right or wrong.
Right? Populists were people like Napoleon, like Stalin. They were not really fascist. They were populists. They said stuff that people wanted to hear, and when they got into power, they did whatever they wanted to do. And this is like Trump, right? He's a populist. He said what the people wanted to hear. No one really believes here. I don't think any of us really believe that Trump is a conservative, right? Nobody believes that, right? He said what the conservatives wanted to hear, and he gets elected. So we're moving away from this idea of traditional morality, and we're principled people. We believe in this. This is how we have to stand by them. It's more about, say what you want to make me feel good, and I'm going to get you in power and give you my money. Right? And that's where we're heading here. So they have no leg to really stand on, because what they've been working on, or what they've been working towards, is failing. And really, they haven't provided any other solution besides electing somebody like Trump. Right? Or joining with a bunch of shills and with Zionism and talking about, the left, right? And, it just doesn't have any real practical solutions. At least in this case, a sovereign country is providing a practical solution for a very real crime that takes place in society, whether you like it or you don't like it, but it's a solution that they're offering better than you're offering. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So who are you to criticize this?
I see what you're saying.
How do you guys suggest that how do you frame this when you're talking to Western audiences, when you're talking about the Taliban doing something that, is in the Islamic tradition? They're executing someone in public. It's part of our religion. It's no one can really hide from those, that fact. How do we, when we're talking to non-Muslims, whether it's Jordan Peterson-like figure or just a regular person?
I would first ask, why is it a problem?
Well, they might say, well, why is it in a stadium? But aren't electric chairs? Aren't those executions done in public as well?
They used to be.
Well, there is an audience of family members and stuff like that who witness the execution. Mm-hmm. So why is that any different from a stadium?
It's not, but people's memory
is of those CNN videos where they see
people's memory is very short, because now we've evolved, even though it's been 20 years.
But it's still happening, though. It's still the family members.
It's very rare. It's very rare. No, it's very rare in some parts of the country, right? But that's the thing. It depends who's talking about it, because there's some people, because it's not happening in their state anymore, all of a sudden they're changed human beings when it just happened.
Yeah, well, Europeans can argue, well, it's not in our continent. We don't believe in the death penalty. You savages in America do it, and so they may have some kind of justification, or the Americans might justify it in some way, but the Europeans, at least challenging what's happening, it's a completely different paradigm. We can't even have the same starting point to discuss with them, because...
So what I do when I talk to these people, I ask them.
They're addictive.
I said, listen, you don't believe in the death penalty, right? Okay, great. Why is it? Right? And they'll say, well, we're pro-life. Human beings don't deserve to die. Right? Two ways to argue this point in my mind. Do you feel the same way about unborn children? Are those lives okay to take? If so, we can get into a conversation about what is life and what is this and that, right? But at some point, I will convince them that this is a life, right? And you're killing an unborn life, right? Other way to argue is that what role does justice play in this? Because they make it all about criminal reform, reforming behavior, right? but they're forgetting the essence of jail and punishment is to benefit the victims. This is not for a person who's going, we're not cutting him a break because he's a criminal. Oh, what a pity party. You're a criminal. We have to help and save you. No, we're worried about the victims. We're worried about future victims, right? So let me ask you, I always tell them, if your family was murdered by somebody, do you think that it's fair that he goes and enters a criminal justice system and he lives off taxpayer dollars that you're paying to eat, sleep, get an education, watch TV, and do nothing? Because European prisons are much different than America. They can even leave for a period of time and come back, right? They can cook in their own cells. They can watch TV, take cell phones, right? So you're telling me that somehow the victim of the family of the victim now has to financially pay through tax dollars for the criminal to survive after murdering his family member. In what sense in any world is that a sense of justice?
Yeah. So some people would say, just to play devil's advocate here, some people would say that thank God it's not up to me because I'm really in an emotional state. I need someone else to take care of that for me. And I know in the long run it's a better thing because it's more peaceful. It's more, it's a better thing to do. But
So
there are double standards. Though.
So listen,
In that statement, there are double
so
standards.
condemning someone to a life in prison and living like an animal, that is peaceful. Like, I mean, what kind of what stuff happens in prison? So you're advocating for sodomy and for rape and for shanking and for all kinds of crazy stuff that happens, extortion of prisoners in prison, all these things. In no way, let's be honest here. Are there any success? I mean, how many success cases do we have of reformed criminals like this?
In prison, in the American prison.
What they'll say is that, oh, you're just deflecting. You're doing what about already?
No, I'm saying I'm giving a solution. I'm saying when you execute this person,
Okay.
they're done with society as a burden. We don't pay for them. The family decided. The family is no longer being punished by having to pay for this person through tax dollars. This person is not freeloading. They're not subjected to criminal abuse inside of the prison system. Their life is gone because they took a life for a life, right?
Yeah.
I'm saying their alternative is what? Is to make the people pay, the victims pay for
A lifetime imprisonment?
right, or that person they want to reform a life full of potential being booty raped and and constantly watching his back in jail and having to deal with the mental trauma of being in solitary confinement. Like, in what way is this a reform? You're just keeping him alive for keeping him alive? Like, what's the point in that?
Yeah.
Like, at what point do you think, and if they're going to argue, oh, we can release him in a certain amount of time, at what point do you think it's fair to release a murderer in society? Right? I mean, I'm not saying there's never a point, but I'm saying who gets to determine that?
Yeah.
Whose standard is this?
It's a good question.
Right?
Yeah, I mean,
I think the only argument that could be made is this.
Yeah.
And I'm going to be objective here. There are many people who have been wrongfully convicted. Right? And that is true. There are people who have been wrongfully convicted of crimes. And while I argue that, yes, that does happen. And it's a shame it happens. But I would argue that majority of the time it works. And we're never going to be perfect in this world. No matter what we do. Perfection is never going to be there, because even if you do the reform policy and you release people into society, you're going to find many of them that do repeat offensive crimes. So you're not going to say the system doesn't work that way. You wouldn't use it as an argument. The bottom line is the system generally works, right? And so if it works, because obviously we can't have a utopian perfection or 100% success rate.
Well, we have a problem in the United States where many black people specifically were wrongfully imprisoned. There's no way, there's no excuses, there's no nuance behind that. And the way the justice system was doled out on the African Americans in America in its current state, I would argue against the death penalty for certain areas where there was a disparity in or problems with corruption. Sometimes, like in Baltimore, you find out in New York and even in Chicago, we know about so much police corruption, planting of evidences.
Mayors also.
And if you implement the death penalty on these people, imagine this guy, Adnan Syed, bro. Many people thought he was guilty.
I thought.
Yeah, you know? And you have a flawed justice system, like a flawed justice department, and corrupt police who are planting weapons, drugs, all kinds of different pieces of evidences to make sure that their case holds up in court. Once you execute them, that's a done deal, you know. And I know like the execution doesn't happen like swiftly either. It happens like 10, 15 years later. It's like a long drawn out process,
appeal
but still,
right.
I mean,
But what I'm saying though is this: I understand what you're saying because Islamic system has a rigorous protection. You know, everything is there. So we're not talking about that. You're talking about the modern society. But I would say this: even in this society, I would say, listen. I'm not excusing. Let's give a high figure. Let's say 5% of these people who are executed is wrong, right? Let's say 10%, right? Which I feel is a very high number. I don't think it's 10%, but let's just say it is, right? Maybe we can look up the stats.
Wrongfully convicted.
Yeah, but let's say 10%. Wrongfully convicted and put on death row, right? While there is no excuse for that, and we know there's a lapse in judgment, and the people their families should be compensated, for sure, some rectification should happen. But I would take something working 90% of the time than something working, of the unknown. Meaning that, like, if you were to rehabilitate, there's been a lot of study done about rehabilitation, right? Like, it's not just about murderers. What do you do for repeat offenders? What do you do for serial killers? What do you do for rapists, pedophiles, right? There's certain things that people there are certain crimes that have, in which criminals have the inclination to repeat them. Not because, I'm not saying it's all their fault. I'm saying there's certain factors because of the way it's set up. For example, in America, if you get a felony, it's hard to get a job. You're forced to live a life of crime if you want to make ends meet. Right? People look at you in a negative way. And we know by psychology, if someone keeps calling you a criminal, you're going to be a criminal. Right? You're going to think like a criminal because you're made to believe that. Right? So part of the problem is that they truly don't want criminal justice reform because if you did, you would get away with this whole idea of being caught with a felony. Right? Because you've you time then. Right? You should have a clean slate. You've done your time. Right? The whole idea of having a felony record is to warn people that you're a potential danger.
Yeah.
Right? And that's because we know they're going to repeat the crime. So really the whole system is built on the idea that criminals repeat crimes. And it's a fact. Right? In many cases they do. I'm not saying all criminals are this way. Right? If there are certain factors like
it's reported in some. Once you commit some sin, you're more open to or you're inclined to commit a sin.
Right, exactly. And the thing is that, like, and I really believe this. That's why I support like the public even flogging, because the embarrassment that person goes through. Like, for example, some people go to jail and they wear it like a badge of honor. Oh, yeah, man, I did a bid. I was in there for 10 years, blah, blah, blah. But getting lashed ain't something to be, no one gets proud of being lashed. Right? I mean, if you get lashed, like, you're being humiliated by, in public, right? Or if you're a thief, you get your hand cut off, you're not going to be proud of that, right? Like, it's a very real thing, right? It's not like you can go out and do a 10-year bid and run a gang from the jail while you're being lashed, right? Public capital punishment is very different.
Yeah.
So this is why I argue for that. Like, when you see these things in public, the ability to gloat and boast in these crimes is much less than it would be if you were in a prison system. So my point being is that in the current system that we have, I see why certain states maintain the death penalty, because there's a habit to repeat the crimes. And let's be honest here, the way the Western system is not designed to rehabilitate them. Islam has a system to rehabilitate them, meaning that, hey, the public will know you're a criminal, you will be shamed for it in public, but then after that, we're taught that we have to give you a fair chance back. You've done your part. We can't look down on you now. We're giving you a chance to re-enter society after you've been shamed and humiliated.
Yeah. And so you
should be grateful that you're coming back into society now. You don't want to go through all that again, right? Whereas in American Western society, the idea is that no, we're going to throw you in jail, protect your butthole, don't drop the soap, do your term in there, right? Don't get shanked, right? Try to get education, make pennies, and come out and expect
Try to
live a
convert
normal-
to Islam.
Yeah, all right. And then like come out and then know that when you come out of jail, you're going to be at a disadvantage because you have a felony record.
Yeah.
Right? There's
Or do
there's
some halfway
progression
house.
for them. Yeah, there's no progression for
Yeah.
them.
Well, and many of the Western leaders in thought who look down on the death penalty look at the death penalty through the prism of how Western justice is doled out, right? And they see that there's all these flaws in the system, so they're looking at it through their own prism.
Yeah.
And we can say, well, according to your system, according to your laws and the way your Western liberalism and the way it's being implemented or justice is being implemented in your countries, I would probably say, yeah, you know what, you guys have way too many problems to properly administer capital punishment. As far as Muslims go, we have a far more effective system. Here's how we vet out. Here's how we go through a fair trial and giving all the stuff related to the actual court process. The process is done in court related to bringing evidences, witnesses, and etc.
Yeah. So I just want to make
this one quick point. One thing I love about the Islamic system is that it is victim-centric, meaning that it's focused on the justice of the Muslim, the person that is a victim, and then it worries about the condition of the person who is the criminal, because that is the utmost priority in that moment. Because the society feels that the person who is victimized is not getting justice, nothing else matters. There's no sense of justice then. Society won't feel safe. If they don't feel safe, there's no rule of law.
very awesome observation.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Well, but why is that different from Western justice?
Because in the Western paradigm, it's not about the victim anymore. It's about the ones who are arguing for no death penalty. It's about the person. How can you take his life? We have to we reform him. It's not about what compensation comes to the victim.
Well, they'll say because we have the reasonable doubt clause in anyone's conviction. If anyone has a shred of doubt in the conviction of any criminal, we also err on.
No. I'm saying someone like a Jordan Peterson who comes from Canada or Europe, who when they are against death penalty, they're against. And even if the person is 100% caught on video murdering somebody, they don't want death penalty.
Okay.
It's no death penalty at all. Preservation of life and rehabilitation.
Well, yeah. Then why don't they ask victims of rape how they feel about it? Because I guarantee you, the vast majority of victims of rape, they want a capital punishment for their rapists.
Yes, of course. And not only that, it just came to my mind. A double standard. They have no problem going to invade the Ukraine. I mean, fight in Ukraine and Russia, or go to Iraq or these places and take those lives.
Yeah. Oh yeah. What a double standard, right?
What a double standard.
Yeah, well, as long as
evil. We're fighting evil.
As long as we kill them for their oil, that's right. That's perfect.
But there's no problem with that, right? Just go and invade it. We have to. They're an evil force in the world.
Yeah, make excuses for all these innocent civilians that died.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's kind of that's a great point. But one thing that I was thinking of, and I don't know if I'm not even thinking of this, what do you guys project is going to happen based on the reputation of America in the eyes of the Americans when America spent so much time in Afghanistan to bring about a civil society, and these steps seem like it's going back to how it was before, even though how many years was America there? 20
17 years.
17?
Mm-hmm.
And now it's just going back to what it was. And America was involved in propping back up the new Taliban and the reformed Taliban, and they're working closely with us and all that good stuff.
I think Americans and at least policymakers know that American and Western thought is right now in the fight for its life. Because even internally, they're disputing about what is right and what is wrong. Listen, this is why the issue about gender is so fun. People think we're just talking about it. But if you can't even decide what a man and woman is, what about the more complex issue? The most fundamental thing in human history, a mother and a father, a man and a woman, you can't figure that out. Now you want to tackle the bigger problems in the world, like world peace?
Yeah.
Like Israel and Palestine?
No, what I think is even more scarier than that.
So what I'm saying is that when they look at Afghanistan, they know that people are rejecting the Western way of life because they see it not working.
Yeah.
And Americans themselves, or Western people themselves, see it not working. Conservatives and liberals are at each other's throats, and to the point where they had insurrections. Where even we just talked about it, we and someone just talking about it right now. Where in Germany there was a coup that was about to happen. They narrowly thwarted the attack or whatever, impending or whatever takeover.
Yeah.
Like people in right wing, people want to take over their governments now. They're dissatisfied.
Here it is.
Yeah.
Plotters allegedly plan to replace Germany's government. So this is just basically happened a few hours ago. Germany says it's foiled a far-right coup plot. Here's what we know. So basically, it was far-right German people who are most likely sympathetic to Nazis and things like that. And you know what the funny thing about this whole thing is that I was just going to find some of the laws that were enacted in Germany for that were targeting Muslims, right? They were being supported by these same far right people, right? Because they felt like, oh, you know what, the Muslims need surveillance, they need monitoring, and what happened? They switched those laws to monitor them, the far-right Nazis, because they had very, close links to terrorism or even, plots such as this, where they were planning to overthrow the entire German government. And they used the same laws that these far-right extremists were wanting implemented on Muslims. They just switched the railroad tracks towards them because they weren't finding anything on Muslims. They're trying to make Muslims' life difficult in every way. I was just talking to a sister on Twitter the other day where she was trying to be a teacher in Germany, and she can't wear hijabs while teaching because it's a political display or something like that. And
religious symbols on display, yeah.
In a secular institution, so she can't teach in Germany. She had to sacrifice her teaching career.
In the public system, right?
Yeah. So basically, the same thing that's happening in the European countries, India is stealing from and trying to remove any kind of visual identity of Islam and Muslimness from individuals, so that they can get absorbed into the wider society. That's their entire strategy. The only reason why you would want to remove these symbols, right, is so that there's no visual identity anymore, and that you're accepted more by Europeans, because Europeans on the surface, they're not really upset about your skin color or you looking different or anything, but you're not assimilating you're not absorbing their language, their culture. You're not having free sex and going to all the different
raves,
all the different things that are associated with European culture. You haven't fully immersed yourself in society and become adopted their degeneracy.
A true citizen.
You're
not a true citizen.
So that's what when he mentioned it, thinking the yamkuruna wa yamkurullah.
Yeah.
Wallahu khairul makirin.
Yes,
they plan and Allah plans, and Allah is the best of planners. How they they were all on board with these Patriot laws and all this stuff, right?
That's cool.
And now they're complaining the government has too much surveillance power. Yeah. Oh, the left is they're controlling our ad, they're controlling our free speech, they're controlling the media, they're controlling this, they're controlling that. They have too much power. But all you dumb idiots were on the bandwagon when this happened with the otherism.
The Patriot Act in the United States, everything that was designed to attack Muslims or put Muslims under surveillance, and now they're being used against who? The Trump supporters.
Let's be honest.
The far right, the people who stormed Capitol Hill and stuff.
Yeah, let's be honest. The primary objective of this Patriot was intimidation. Yeah. Right? Be afraid to be a Muslim. When you travel, when you announce your beliefs, when you say what you believe in, be intimidated. And this is the same intimidation factor that they're using on the political opponents. If you say something like the votes were rigged, or election was rigged, you're on a list. If you said anything about January 6th, you're on a list. If you're a MAGA supporter, you're on the list. right? If you say anything against these kind of LGBTQ, you're on a list, right? And the same thing that they wanted Muslims to be on is what they're facing, right? And it's funny, and it's happening in Europe now too, because they realize, unfortunately, for them, they're realizing it's a bad lesson that, you know, when you do this otherism, that'll come back onto you when you lose your power, right? You become especially in times when there is economic turmoil, right? When inflation is rising, poverty is rising, otherism becomes more popular. Why? Because it's easier to blame other people. The right will blame the immigration and the Muslims, and people like this. And the left will blame the right wings who want to mess up their economy and do this and create wars. And everyone wants to make, whoever's in power gets to play the superior dominant one and blame the others who have a different view, and they become the target. And, you know, they become victim of political assassinations, right? Meaning that, you know, character assassinations, and this is the cycle, and it backfired on them.
Yeah. Before we wrap up the show, I want to talk quickly about something that Megan's organizing for the show. She's trying to get a bunch of artists of Muslim background, whether you're in music or art or anything, and we realized, like, hey, there's no space that really brings together some of these artists, and we're trying to string together like 5-10 minute long presentations where you can quickly get familiar with some of the art that a artist is producing and stitch up all these quick little videos together and form an episode about it. So if you know an artist in your circle, if you know someone who deserves the exposure, is probably not getting it and probably should, we're happy to facilitate a platform for those individuals. I can't really help you out if they're like super liberal, because I know some artists are very liberal and they might not agree with some of the content here, but give them the proper disclaimers if you wish. You know what I'm saying? Some people don't like us, man. I don't
Are you okay with that? You want to hug it out?
Hug it up. Hug it
No,
up.
I'm okay with people not liking me, except
You said that so
He doesn't like
badly.
people
I
unfriending
think
him.
I'm okay with people not liking me.
I think you have to get that tough skin. I was just having a little lighthearted humor in the early
It's
episode. I'm
unfriending,
sorry
bro.
you took it personally.
We can hug it out later.
Yeah, and a brother
okay.
had mentioned he wanted to remain anonymous. He's been a great upright brother, mashallah, who I really look up to. He's been trying to apply for jobs, and he hasn't been having, success of what, obviously of what he wants in jobs and stuff. So he wanted to remain anonymous. So
He's an artist?
no, he's not an artist. He's looking for work, and he's having kind of a rough time.
he an
Having a
IT?
rough
So
patch.
you want us to make dua for him?
Just anyone, if you can make dua for
Let's just make it
the
right now.
Anonymous person.
Yeah, but
that
what field is he
asking to
in?
make dua. He is in management. He's in business management, business strategy, that kind of
Like a
stuff.
BA?
No, he's not a BA. No, it's more like business strategy.
Well, may
Strategist.
Allah ease in his difficulties
I mean-
and help him find a new job opportunity as soon as possible.
I mean-
I've been in that position a few times in my life. It's
Yeah.
some of the worst feelings I've ever had.
Yeah.
I can't imagine going through that again. May Allah protect us all as these Western democracies crumble in the next couple of years. It's just a matter of time. As the recession grows and becomes much more difficult on economies, there's going to be a lot of painful stories such as this happen throughout our friend circles, throughout everywhere, and throughout the world.
Yeah.
I really hope. That's why I'm talking to a lot of people about prepping. Prepare yourself so that you can at least have food. Maybe you can have a few months of mortgage saved up, money to pay for your mortgage or your rent, and stockpile on foods. Get those tote containers, airtight tote containers. Store legumes, flour, rice, things that can store a long time. You don't know how bad things can get, how quickly the climate can turn for worse. You have to prepare yourself, and you're not making too much of a investment. If you have a little bit of money saved up, dedicate a little bit towards storing necessary food items so that you don't find yourself in a difficult situation and have to make incredible sacrifices. Because as we saw, we got an ample warning system when we saw during the lockdown how in the United States we're all out of toilet paper. There were many other things. More recently, baby formula was missing out of all the shelves of the country. Situations like this can happen for anything, and it doesn't necessarily require an entire collapse of the economy, but things can fall apart really quickly, really fast. People will do the hoarding at the last second, and you will not have enough food. Because what a lot of people don't understand is what you see out in grocery stores in the West, there's only enough food for the entire population for 1 week in the distribution centers.
So it's replenished every week, kind of.
Yeah. There's only 1 week of food.
Wow. SubhanAllah.
There's no stockpiles saved up somewhere where it can feed the
So what I
entire
think you guys
population.
should do is create a WhatsApp group for prepping and make sure
We should have an episode on how to prep.
Everyone should put your name, your number, your address. So when shit hits the fan, I can come and know where to rob you guys.
But I think we should. I know you talked about like how you purchase rice and how you recycle it and cycle all that. But I think we need more of a detailed thing about that. And
It's not very complicated, Sheikh. You get a tote box, those big plastic Rubbermaid type, but make sure it's airtight. Okay, you just search for airtight tote on Amazon. You'll find plenty. They're not even $20. They're very cheap. You get a few silica packets. You know how you get those in with the gym shoes?
Yeah.
Just to keep the moisture out. Yeah.
So yeah, you get a few of those. Those are like you can get 100
vitamin bottles
for like $5. It's not very expensive at all. So you throw a few packets of those in with your bags of rice, legumes, flour, what have you, sugar, salt. With items that don't go bad after a couple.
You don't
years.
take it out of the bag. You keep it in the bags, though, right?
Yeah,
You keep the rice in the bags.
Yeah,
and you throw those.
and let's say you run out of the rice at your home. You can go back into that container, use that rice, and start using. Get a new bag of rice from your store.
So the idea is to keep like let's say you want to buy. You're buying every week. You buy every week. You buy 1 bag of rice, right? In the beginning, just start buying like 2 bags of rice every week, and put 1 bag aside. And then what you do is now we have a reserve of like 4 bags in the first month, right? So now you buy another bag. That 1 bag you're using, leave that 4 bag reserve, right? So you can keep going through it. So you have that whatever reserve you want, and whether it be rice or some other canned goods, whatever it may be. So you have this reserve that you're tapping into. So basically, it's kind of like
take one old one out and put the new one in there.
Yeah. Put the used. Yeah. So
it's a life cycle.
Yeah.
So in IT, they talk about life cycle.
Yeah, exactly. Life cycle management. But the idea is that so basically, instead of having 0 to start off with, you have like 4 or 5 already, and that's your 0 point, right? And then so now you have, because that should be your untouchable pile. Like what you don't, that's a reserve, right? Like you never go your gas tank all the way down to 0, right? There's always, even when you go down to E, there's still a reserve to get to the gas station.
Yeah.
Right? It's the same concept.
All right.
One thing.
Go ahead.
For all of you nerdy, geeky gamers out there, I'm playing Modern Warfare 2. I bought myself an Xbox. So, if you would like to play in Modern Warfare, let us know in the comment section. I'll give you my Activision ID.
And actually, just email us at the Mad Mamluks.
Oh, yeah.
The madmamluks@gmail.com.
Yeah.
That's perfect. And if you know of any artists or people who want to contribute for that episode, let us know at that same email address, and we will give you the necessary contact information to pass on to that individual so that we can get something going. Again, Modern Warfare 2 or Nasheed artist or any kind of artist.
Yeah, and there's one more thing I want to suggest. If you have a product that is something that is, it's a good idea, and you want to, show it to the people. It's kind of like an artist thing, right? Where you're showing and displaying something. Email the guy. No, the reason I'm saying is because, some people, they don't have all this money for like marketing and funding. They have a really good product, and they just want to, something that can benefit, and they're looking for something maybe that can, You know, no, I'm serious.
No, I just thought of Shark Tank all of a sudden.
No, I mean, yeah.
No.
Well, I don't want like big companies, because there's some, I don't want to mention names, but there's some companies that are large companies who make, millions of dollars off of their services
I'm
that
talking
provide,
about small.
and they don't want to. They're like they're nickel and
bargain on
diming.
it, yeah.
They're like bargaining about advertising. I'm like, you know what? I don't even want to talk to you anymore.
Yeah.
I have.
Yeah,
very
you
little
got to be a
for-
startup, right? You got to be something
Yeah.
that's like brand new. You have no, I want a true entrepreneur on the ground, grassroots, who's, someone like that who just wants some exposure, because we can't do any funding, but we have a platform, and if it's something a good idea, and we think it's a good thing, just email us, and if we think it's an appropriate thing, we'll just go ahead and give you some airtime.
Beautiful.
All right, friends. That's our show for this evening. And make sure you click on like, subscribe, and comment in the comment section below with your thoughts related to this show. We'll see you all next time. Assalamu alaikum.